Another little guy, the E-flite UMX Radian. We got a little, well, I suppose we can take the rubber band off in all fairness to him, because it's not actually doing anything now, and, you know, maybe it's going to impede performance, so if we're not using it, let's try and take it off. It's a little tricky because he's got a folding propeller. There we go. So we've taken the rubber band off. It's got a little 150 milliamp hour battery, which is what he's meant to fly with, stuck. Oh, well, forward-ish, but not right at the very forward of the battery compartment. Now that table is really soaked because it sweats. It doesn't absorb the water at all. Okay, so let's see where we go with this guy. This guy is clearly unambiguously meant to be a powered glider, basically. Throttle cut off would help. No real doubt about what he's meant to be. Now, generally I find most people who have this guy are quite happy with it and quite pleased with it. I'm perhaps less enthusiastic than most people about it, you know, which is perhaps not entirely fair. I got it just after I got the Concendo. I was having a lot of fun gliding with the Concendo. I got this guy, and this guy, you know, this guy certainly works, but trying to compare him to the Concendo really isn't fair, because, you know, the Concendo is, well, apart from the fact the Concendo has ailerons, let's leave that aside. The Concendo is, of course, much more maneuverable because it has ailerons, and you can do all sorts of other stuff with it if you want to. But let's pretend for a moment the Concendo doesn't have ailerons. We don't do anything with the Concendo's ailerons. We just climb and glide with it. The thing is, the Concendo, I set the timers, actually, interesting enough, exactly the same on these when I launch them. I set them both to a 6-minute battery timer, which means you could run about 6 minutes of motor time on the battery. And I'm basically mostly, let's assume for the moment I'm just doing what I'm doing now, basically using the battery to climb, and then trying to glide it. See, I have trouble getting it to glide sensibly. It seems to me that it's porpoising all the time, you see. I just seem to have to get the nose really down. I'm not getting a good glide out of it. It seems like I have to push the nose really far down to get it to glide without stalling, you know, and then of course it doesn't stay up very long. So, I mean, the Concendo just glides an awful lot better than this guy, basically. With the Concendo, I get my flight time as against my motor time with the Concendo is in the 7 to 9 times range. So, in other words, on 2 minutes of battery time with the Concendo, I can get, where am I going to do? Anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes of flight time. on 2 minutes of battery time with the Concendo. So I'm getting 7 to 10 minutes of flight time per minute of that I'm running the motor. This guy, I'm lucky if I can get 3 times the flight time. I shouldn't have looked at my watch when I launched this guy, but he just doesn't stay up. He comes down too quickly, and I can't keep him up, basically. Try not to fly him into the fence there. I just, I just can't get a good smooth glide off him and keep him up. The only way I can get a smooth glide off him is to really put his nose down, and then of course he comes down quickly, if his nose is down. But I don't have any choice, because if I put the nose up, he porpoises all the time. He just keeps stalling, basically. Now he's gliding smoothly there, but he's descending pretty darn fast. Almost as fast as you can climb him. So you're only getting your flight time, you're only getting 2 or 3 times your motor time.
4 minutes.
Which to me for a glider seems disappointing. No, see, if I leave the elevators neutral, basically he just porpoises. I pretty much have to push the elevator down in order to... I had down trim in it before, and I guess that's why, because I had a bunch of down trim that I took out, just put it back in again, because you might as well. And he doesn't have much blithering power in the motor either. So it's not like you're climbing him very well either. He's just 3-channel. Which is fine for a glider. The big Radian's just 3-channel. All the Radians are, well, except the Radian Pro. But you see, he's coming down so quickly. And you can't climb him very quickly either, because he doesn't have much power. So it's not like you can... I'm trying to climb. Actually, he almost looks as if he's on low voltage cutoff now. I can't really get him up anymore. No. Alright, that's about it. He's running out of power. I can't get him up anymore. No. He's basically out of power. He's basically out of power, so I don't know. So I'm less enthusiastic about this than a lot of guys. That was with a 150 milliamp hour battery, and he's pretty much going to low voltage cutoff already, and that's actually only after 3 minutes of motor time. Mind you, it was 3 minutes of pretty full throttle motor time, because I was trying to climb him. And I don't know how much flight time elapsed that was, because I didn't look at my watch. But so yes, he works, but maybe my expectations are very unreasonable. I don't know, but I'm not as enthusiastic about him as a lot of people. In that it just seems to me, now maybe if you got a nice upcurrent, a nice thermal, or something you could fly him in to carry him up, then maybe that would be better. Fair enough. But as he is, I'm a little underwhelmed, as I say, because I find him. He will fly, and he'll fly in a certain amount of wind as well. You can fly him, and he will go up, and he will glide, but it's not that easy to get him. It's not that easy to get him up, because he doesn't have a lot of power, and then he comes down again fairly quickly, so you're not going to get, your glide time's only going to be equal to, or at the very most, twice your motor time, making your total flight time 2 to 3 times your motor time, unless you've got some sort of upcurrent or something to keep him up.